Okay. Part four, is the idea of actually surviving the ghetto. What we've seen up until this point, and I had to break the videos up into two sections because it's gonna take me, it's gonna take a lot more time than the amount of time that I have on battery. So I had to switch out batteries really quick to make sure that I get everything without losing any content. The next concept is the idea of surviving the ghetto. And as we said before, we understand through the lyricist's account of the stress of living in a battlefield, of earning stripes, being forced to survive and remember the pain that we've endured by the scars, right? By identifying each other in terms of military references, by recognizing that we're all soldiers, that this is a brutally hostile environment. So when you hear hip-hop, right, and I don't know that anyone's, I'm almost positive no one's taken it to the level that I've taken it to as far as analysis yet, which is not to toot my own horn, but it's not there until now. What I want to do is, like, listen, when you listen to hip-hop, don't be so critical. There's a lot of things that hip-hop does that's bad. Nothing is good. Nothing is all purely good, at least my belief. There's nothing that's all purely good at all in this world, in this universe, right? There's a bit of yin and yang, a bit of black and white, a little bit of good and bad. And our idea is to try, as African traditional religion says, where we've been charged with balancing the universe, right? We've been charged with bringing a certain amount of balance into the universe. And my whole intent behind this series is to say that, listen, when you listen to hip-hop lyrics and they're talking about murder and killing and stripes and military and service, you need to recognize that it's not sort of a glamorization. Sometimes it is, but not all the time. And I have way more than enough support in this document to support this claim, is that what they're doing is they're giving you a depiction of the struggles of day-to-day existence, of how phenomenally dangerous it is to live in this environment. And really and truly what we're trying to do as ghetto boys and girls in the hood is not flourish, not rise to excellence. That's not even an option, right? It's not about excellence. It's not about flourishing. It's not about, putting your best foot forward. It's about making it to tomorrow. Even making it to tomorrow might be too far. It's about making it back home. It's about trying to get back to my house. I left my house at 8 o'clock in the morning, and my goal today is to make it back to the house, right? That's what it's about, right? And it's not a laughing matter at all. And in order to be able to make it back to the house, I have to be the type of dude where, look, with me particularly, I might be skinny, I might be nerdy, but, you're not just going to run up on me. That's not going to happen, right? You can look at any kid in the ghetto, right? You see a kid walking home with a violin in his book bag, and you think he's soft if you want. He got to make it back home. He knows how tough it is. He knows what he has to do in order to survive. So this idea of survival is, for me, one of the hallmarks of good hip hop, is a lyricist who will really just praise people in the ghetto and people out the ghetto for having survived that threat, right? It's a standing ovation for having made it and continuing to make it, because we all know who are from the ghetto just how hard it is to survive in the ghetto, right? So the idea of this is on page 3 now. The idea of survival, the lyricist understands the nearly insurmountable odds in surviving an urban war zone. Surviving the ghetto becomes one of the greatest ways to earn stripes within an urban community. So cats who make it out, like Jay-Z, like Rick Ross, like Jeezy, like Jim Jones, those cats who made it out of the ghetto, they still have ghetto internally, but they've survived, and we recognize that. But there are other people who survive. I survived the ghetto, right? I'm not a rapper. I don't live a glamorous lifestyle. You know what I mean? I don't drive a Bentley. I don't have a big house, but I made it out the ghetto, right? You look at cats like Allen Iverson. He made it out the ghetto, right? So what we get Mike Tyson, Iverson, Jay-Z. We get those depictions of people who've made it out of the ghetto, right? The rappers, the ballers, the athletes. We can tell that they've made it out. But there's a whole community of people who've made it out of the ghetto and earned stripes, right? Just because I'm not a rapper, just because I'm not a baller, doesn't mean that I got less credibility in the hood. I got respect in the hood, because I've earned stripes just like they earned stripes, right? So the point is, the point is it's a matter of recognizing that Jay-Z, Iverson, Mike Tyson, myself, we are in positions as people who have survived and flourished and excelled outside of an institution that was engineered to destroy us, that gives us credibility now, not just as earning stripes in the hood, but I am now in a position where I can talk to mainstream America about this, right? I can let mainstream America know you need to, and I'm letting you know right now, mainstream America, when you listen to hip hop, you really have to give us as people more credit than you give us. It's not just murder, 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 kill, kill, kill. There's a lot of that, right? But it's not always that. You have to take the time to listen to the lyrics, to listen to the music, to listen to what the lyricist is saying, and after you've listened to the lyrics, determine whether, oh, this is just regular murder, murder, stupid music, or this is a lyricist describing the pain of having to survive in an environment that was engineered to destroy him, right? So let's listen to some of these lyrics. First, again, Mano featuring T-Pain, all of the above, and this is the idea of survival, which I discussed this before, right? So here's the audio again.
Soldier, rider, ghetto survivor, and all the above. Soldier, rider, ghetto survivor, and all the above.
Okay, that in the audio, I'm a soldier, a rider, a ghetto survivor, right? I did these lyrics, I analyzed it with respect to being a soldier. Now I'm analyzing the lyrics again with respect to being a survivor, right? I've survived, a ghetto survivor, right? So the idea again is having survived an institution, a structure, a system that was designed to destroy us. Okay, next is Birdman featuring Magnolia Chopper, and the track is Out the Ghetto, obviously reference to the ghetto. And here's what Magnolia Chop has to say in the audio. Here's the clip.
You can take a nigga out the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of me. Bitch, I'm a G. I gotta eat on these streets, survive on these streets. I'm down on these streets, I'm a G. You can take a nigga out the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of me. Bitch, I'm a G. I gotta eat on these streets, survive on these streets. I'm down on these streets, I'm a G.
Okay, what does he say? You can take a nigga out the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of me, right? Bitch, I'm a G. I gotta eat on these streets, right? Both metaphorically and realistically, right? I gotta eat on these streets. References, this is a side note, Jay-Z, I think, probably invented, I don't know if Jay-Z invented it, but no one did it better than Jay-Z, and rappers do it today non-stop about eating. There'll be references to breakfast and meals and lunch and dinner and eating, and it means two things. One, eating on these streets mean, listen, when I'm serving drugs, right? When I'm in the trap, I have to make a living selling drugs. So insofar as I'm selling drugs, I got to do what I got to do in order to eat. Literally, I sell these drugs so that I can make the money to get flashy and all that other stuff. But I got to eat. I got to survive by doing this. The second way to understand eating on these streets, right? And I think this is a little bit more interesting a concept. In order for me to eat on the streets, right? In order for me to eat on the streets, I have to be in a position where my power is such that I have other people there, I have a system there to protect me while I'm eating. My defenses are down when I'm eating, right? I'm vulnerable when I'm eating, but I gotta eat on these streets. So since I recognize that I gotta eat on these streets, when it's time for me to eat, I need to be the caliber a Don, or I need to be the caliber a soldier, I need to be the caliber a general. Then when I sit down to break, literally break bread, right, that they already know, don't mess with him, man. You would be wrong to think that he's slipping, because he's not, right? Because slipping meaning I'm in a position where I'm vulnerable. There can never be a time, in order for you to survive, remember this is all about survival, in order for you to survive in the streets, then even when you're supposed to be taking a break, when you're eating in the streets, where either you're literally eating in the streets, or you're at a stoplight, or you're at the car wash, you can't be caught slipping, right? So I gotta eat on these streets, I gotta survive these streets, so I'm always ready. I'm always ready for whatever might go down. My guard is always up. Because why? If my guard is not up, I'm not gonna be able to eat. And if I can't eat, you know what happens when you don't eat? You die, right? So You can take a nigga out the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of me. Bitch, I'm a G. I gotta eat on these streets, survive on these streets. I'ma die on these streets. I'm a G, right? So, you know, you gotta be careful how you say your flow. You know, hopefully the rapper's still alive. But I gotta eat on these streets. I gotta survive these streets. I'm a G. I'ma die on these streets, right? As we saw before, Master P says, and we ready to die, right? So it's like, you know what's gonna happen, right? You're either gonna end up going to the penitentiary. The vast majority are either gonna end up going to the penitentiary, right? Some of them, like Boosie notoriously says, might go insane. Some of them might end up in jail, dead, and a few of them will make it out, right? My point is many more can make it out if you recognize that doing what I'm doing right now is a way to make it out. This is how I made it out. So for the young cats that are watching me, this is a way to get out. This is how I get out. This is exactly how I got out the ghetto. I don't have a jump shot at all. I'm pretty good on the flow, but not good enough to be a rapper. I'm definitely I'm not a baller of any sort. You know, I play for fun, but not like at the level that these cats are playing at. But this is how I made it out. Right, so this is a great way to make it out, and many more could make it out this way if they recognize that this was a way to make it out and survive the streets, right? So, I mean, the point is, people knew that I was nerdy. It's not like the kids on the block didn't know I was a nerd, but they gave me respect because I ain't mess with them. They didn't mess with me, right? I'm not over there trying to, sell dope on their block. I'm not challenging how they eat, right? If I set up shop on the corner and I start serving dope on the corner, then I'm challenging how they eat. And they're going to retaliate, right? Because I'm challenging the way they eat. I'm challenging the way they make money. And this is what the reference really means with respect to eating and surviving, right? So I think it's very, very important. Next, great lyric, old school. You know, I'm into East Coast music big time. Eric B. and Rakim, Casualties of War. So here's the clip from Casualties of War.
Casualties of war, as I approach the barricade. Where's the enemy? Who the one fade? Bullets of Teflon, bulletproof vest grip. Take it out of your flame with a bag full of clips. Cause I got a family to wait for my return. To get back home is my main concern. Casualties of war, as I approach the barricade. Where's the enemy? Who the one fade? Bullets of Teflon, bulletproof vest grip. Take it out of your flame with a bag full of clips. Cause I got a family to wait for my return. To get back home is my main concern.
Alright. What we see in that is the following. They say, casualties of war, I approached the barricade. Now, in the video that I did in the beginning that I told you that I did a response to, in the video I talk about, and you should watch those videos, right, in the first part. This is the second part of sort of urban warfare and the urban community as a war zone. In the first installment, I had the links to the videos up. And what I said in the last video, before I made this video response, was that if you're living on a block and a cat on another Ave, 22nd Ave, is represented by another gang, then insofar as I make a cross from 21st Ave to 22nd Ave, I've literally entered a battle zone by crossing the street. Right? So there is literally a barricade between neighborhoods. It's an invisible barricade. The barricade that Eric B. and Rakim are referencing in this track isn't a real barricade, right? He says, casualties of war. I approach the barricade. Where's the enemy, right? Who do I invade? There is no barricade that you physically see. It's the street number. I know that crossing from 21st to 22nd, there's a barricade. It's an invisible barricade. But I need to know this from a young kid that, hey, that's a barricade right there. I don't need to cross that. Why? Because once I cross that, I'm entering a battle zone, right? So casualties of war, again, reference to, he's not talking about real war. He's talking about the ghetto as war, right? The hood as being a war zone. Casualties of war. As I approach the barricade, where's the enemy? Who do I invade? Bullets of Teflon, bullets vest rip, tear you out of your frame with the big full clips. Because I got a family, right? Because I got a family that waits for my return. As I said earlier, right? It's not about making it even to the next day. Surviving the ghetto is surviving each moment, right? It's not even just surviving the day, it's surviving the moments in the day. Because I got a family that waits for my return. So you think about it, he recognizes I got to make it back home because I got people who are waiting for me, right? And I'm currently in a war zone, and between me and my house number is a war, is a battle, are perpetual threats, and I need to make it back to that family who waits for my return. To get back home is my main concern. Think about the idea, think about the idea of getting back home, right? That's in the ghetto, that's an everyday thing. I just want to make it to the night. I just want to make it back to the house, and I just want to make it back home safe because it's that violent. And I can't tell you how many times that I've personally heard of individuals, especially kids, who have been killed while sleeping in their bed. So even if you make it back home, firefight goes on outside, down the street, cats drive by, you hear the term drive by before, they light up a whole house. You made it back home, you're in your bed, you're still not safe. Because you could be caught slipping in your sleep. Right? So I mean, think about what Eric B. and Rakim said in that verse, right? It's no joke, right? Take you out of your frame with a bag full of clips. Because I got a family that waits for my return. To get back home is my main concern, right? That's what it's really about. I just need to make it back to the house, man. And then I worry about tomorrow when I open the door for Vietnam. But right now, it's just about getting back to the house. So that's what's being said there. And the idea of surviving the ghetto isn't some systematic, formulaic process wherein you strategize surviving. No, you stay strapped. You got your team with you. You got a camp with you. You roll deep with your boys. You get to point A. You get back home. It's all about respect. It's all about land. It's all about territory. It's all about boundaries. You don't step on my territory, I won't step on your territory. You don't disrespect me, I'm not going to disrespect you. You step on my territory, you disrespecting me, and we headhunting, right? And you might find yourself in crossfire because you didn't recognize, because there's no visible barrier, there's no visible barricade, as Eric B. and Rakim are saying, that you find yourself on a block that you're not supposed to be on, and you disrespecting. You might not think of it. White America wouldn't know that that's an act of disrespect, but that's an act of disrespect. You're disrespecting the other community because you're not supposed to be in that community, and you should know better than that, right? So it's an act of aggression, and they will seek reprisal for that, right? So, I mean, yeah, you got to deal with so much violence and invisible barricades, invisible barriers, unwritten rules. This adds to the amount of pressure in the environment. So to survive that and to be able to get out of that is a remarkable accomplishment in itself, right? So Eric B. and Rakim's Casualties of War, phenomenal track. Next is Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted. Of course, America spelled with a, and I forgot the extra K, I gotta put that back in there because it was America with 3 Ks, right? America, KKK's Most Wanted. Ice Cube, right? This is back when Ice Cube wasn't doing movies and stuff. He's calmed down in his old age, but I wouldn't sleep on Ice Cube now either. You know, he could be doing all the sitcoms and commercials that he wants. He's still Ice Cube who did Fuck the Police, coming straight from the underground, right? The all-time hardest hip-hop lyrics ever created, right? It's the most hood verse ever. And I might, well, I mean, it's sort of cliche to do sort of sort of establishment, anti-authority, but yeah, Fuck the Police was like, it was an epic track, right? That Ice Cube, right? So Ice Cube, here's the audio for America's Most Wanted.
Back in the day, I did my share of the dirt. Sometimes I gotta wait clean, sometimes people got hurt. But if you know me, you know that I'm liable to bust a cap, cause it's all about survival of the fit. Back in the day, I did my share of the dirt. Sometimes I gotta wait clean, sometimes people got hurt. But if you know me, you know that I'm liable to bust a cap, cause it's all about survival of the fit.
Alright, what do we see in the lyrics? He says, back in the day, I did my share of dirt. Sometimes I got away clean, sometimes I didn't get caught. Sometimes people got hurt. He's not saying that they got hurt directly because of him or because of his associates, but I did dirt. I did things I shouldn't have done in my life. I've done violent things in my life. I've done evil things in my life. But, you know, sometimes I got away clean. Nobody found me, so it's as if I never did anything wrong. And sometimes people got hurt. But if you know me, you know that I'm liable to bust a cap because it's all about survival of the fittest, right? I'm the type of cat that will pull. You know, they have an unwritten rule in the hood. You know, you don't brandish, we call a gun iron, right? So you don't brandish iron. You don't just pull out your gun and just wave it around, right? Because if you're waving a gun around, that's an obvious threat. And if you don't make good on that threat, you know, you pull a gun on me and you haven't killed me, well, you're letting me know that there is an intent to take my life. Well, if there's an intent to take my life, why would I think that you wouldn't try and intend on taking my life sometime in the future? Insofar as you pull that gun on me, now I'm in a sense liable, right? Why? Because now I gotta make sure that you're killed. Either I kill you if I'm low in the ranks, if I haven't earned enough stripes, I kill you. But if I've earned enough stripes, well, if I'm a Don, or they call them capos, if I'm a Don or a capo, or if I'm a general, then I get one of my soldiers to kill you, right? Because you're not gonna threaten me and live, right? You're gonna threaten my life and not pull a gun out and not kill me. What's being said here is it's about survival. And since I know it's about survival, and not just survival, but survival of the fittest, then I recognize that you're weak. That's a sign of weakness, to pull a gun out on somebody and not kill them, just so you scare everybody, be like, oh, I got iron, right? And young boys do this all the time, right? They'll pull a gun out and try and show how tough they are, not recognizing that they might be dealing with some real bosses. And what's going to happen? The boss is going to play it cool. He's going to go back to the car. He's going to go back to the house. He's going to make a phone call, and that kid's going to end up in a ditch. You can guarantee that. That's off top, right? So it's like, you don't do that in the hood. You don't brandish your iron. You're not pulling your gun out just to be like waving guns around. Because the second you do that, you are marked for death. Someone somewhere is going to kill you, right? And you know, I am not trying to glamorize, right? I'm not trying to glamorize this at all. In fact, it's actually pretty sickening, right? Because I'm doing this lecture, but I know cats that have found their ways into the grave by making these mistakes. I know dudes who've done this. Young kids don't know what they're doing, thinking it's cool, got a gun, want to go out and act tough. You pull it out and you're not shooting, and then 2 weeks later the kid's dead, face down. Why? You don't do that. You don't do that. But the kid wasn't old enough. He didn't have enough experience to recognize that that's you breaking rule number one. You're breaking rule number one. If you pull it out, you better kill whoever you're trying to kill. Because if you don't kill him, you can rest assured that somebody in his team is coming for you, right? And we're not really talking about killing 30 and 20-year-olds. We're talking about killing it's a lot of teenagers. It's a lot of teenagers and even preteens, right? It's crazy when you say it like that, but preteens that are killing each other, right? And that are really, really violent. Ain't no prison for them cats, because you're not gonna arrest these dudes. They coming to kill. So yeah, you know, Ice Cube with epically deep verse, right? It's all about survival of the fittest. All right. Next, Kanye West. You know, I think Kanye grew up in the burbs. I'm not positive, but I think he did grow up in the burbs. But just because he grew up in the burbs doesn't mean he doesn't have understanding. I'm sure he had homeboys in the streets, and I don't even know about Kanye, so I shouldn't even speak about it. I don't know where he came from, but I know his mom was a professor. But you know, it's like Kanye West. You would think, oh, Kanye, you know, it's all conscious rap and all that, and conscious rap is always sort of a negative. Me personally, I love conscious music. I love conscious rap. But, you know, cats from the streets would be like, oh, Kanye West, what does he know about it? Kanye know about it. You know, I wouldn't sleep on Kanye. Don't sleep on him. You know, don't sleep on any, that's the point, right? Don't sleep. Don't sleep, because when you get caught sleeping, that's when you find out, oh, wow, I didn't know that dude was who he was. I didn't know that dude had the connections he had. I slept on him. And then you got gobbled up, right? So don't sleep. You know, I wouldn't sleep on Kanye. Kanye says in Jesus Walks the following. So here's a clip from Jesus Walks.
We at war. We at war with terrorism, racism, but most of all, we at war with ourselves. We at war. We at war with terrorism, racism. Most of all, we at war with ourselves.
Okay, what does Kanye say? He doesn't directly say and speak using the words survival, but what he's talking about is the ghetto, right? And he says, we at war. We're at war with terrorism and racism, obviously. But most of all, right, more important than both terrorism and racism, most of all, we're at war with ourselves, right? We're at war with, you know, in the ghetto, blacks and Latinos killing blacks and Latinos. Blacks killing blacks, blacks killing Latinos, Latinos killing Latinos, Latinos killing blacks. Primarily, blacks are killing blacks. Primarily, Latinos are killing Latinos, right? And that's what it is. The ghetto is set up so that we kill each other, right? And we really killing each other for scraps, right? You think about the cost and the profit made in selling a kid cocaine, right? And I mean, anybody with a fairly average college education makes that in a year, and without much effort, right? The point is that you live this glamorous lifestyle. You want to get the money, you want to get the drugs, but it's not just for the sake of glamour, right? Kids aren't going. A lot of them start that way. It's glamorous. You see the OGs represented in big whips and rims and diamonds, and all the girls love them. And you might be fascinated from a young age of that lifestyle, but once you really get in, these cats get deep into the game because they don't really have another means out. Like Pac said, I never did a crime I ain't have to do. I'm not doing dirt because I love doing dirt. Nobody's doing dirt. I mean, there might be 1 or 2% of the population that's doing dirt because they're truly infatuated with being evil, right? You got to say this in the world. The vast majority of people selling drugs, killing people in the hood, doing it because, hey, I live in an environment where, yo, you pulled a gun on me. We was at the club. And I came out the club and I stepped on your shoe. It's something as stupid as this. We're in the club. I stepped on your shoe. We out. And you brandish an iron. You go to the trunk. You pull out a gun and you waving a gun at me talking about you going to blow my head off. And you don't kill me? You think I'm going to let you see tomorrow? You're not going to see tomorrow. You are not going to see tomorrow. Because guess what? In the hood, we don't call the police. No one's filing a police report saying, hey, Mr. Officer, so-and-so, here's his name, pulled a gun out on me, and he said he was going to threaten to kill me. No, they don't do that. Why? Because everybody's doing dirt, everybody's doing crime. To call in and report somebody else on the police is bringing attention to myself. I don't want to do that. Okay, so you pulled a gun on me at the club and you forgot the rules and you didn't kill me? Well, guess what? I'm gonna earn my strike tonight and I'm gonna take you out. And I'm gonna let everybody know I did it. Right? So then you get your stripes. Oh, look, this is like this. It's so cliche, but this is the scene in Menace to Society where O-Dog kills the couple in the first 5 minutes of the movie, where he kills the couple in the liquor store, and then he takes the tape, and for the rest of the movie he shows the tape. He shows that tape because he's earning stripes. They know O-Dog is a shooter, to be technical, right? They know O-Dog is a shooter. So if somebody needs a shooter, they're gonna be like, hey, O-Dog, I got a job for you. Just like you see in the movies with mafia and hitmen and all that, the hood got shooters, right? And you have people who that's what they do. So O-Dog earns his stripes by, hey, here's the video. Don't take my word for it. Watch the video of me killing these 2 people. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, that's, this is not a movie. This is not a movie. This is not a movie. And if you think for a second it's a movie and you go to the hood and slip up and try to act like you bad, right, because you went and got a gun from your local pawn shop and trying to show off to cats who got army guns, they're gonna eat you up with your little 45. They're gonna eat right through that. For real. So yeah, it's destruction. But having survived that, you get stripes. You know what I'm saying? You get stripes and you get respect, as you should get respect for having survived, assaults and threats in your life, for having survived while your homeboys are getting killed, for having survived people who are dying from overdoses, from having survived families that are broken because of drugs and violence, for having survived. You gotta get props for that, right? So I don't care what you're doing. You don't just have to be a rapper or a baller or an athlete. Doctors, lawyers, MDs, nurses, teachers, they all survived the ghetto. If they survived the ghetto and they made it to positions like myself, well, yeah, we survived. And the whole point of the video is to explain how difficult it is. Like, I'm physically exhausted from doing this video, and I still got another page to go. All right, Mobb Deep, favorite group ever of all time, best ever. Mobb Deep. I know a lot of people say Outkast, but I lived in the South, but I had my formative years in Brooklyn, so it's Mobb Deep. All right, so Mobb Deep, Survival of the Fittest is the name of the track. It doesn't get more explicit than that, right? So here's the audio from Mobb Deep's Survival of the Fittest.
There's a war going on outside, no man is safe from. You could run, but you can't hide forever. There's a war going on outside, no man is safe from. You could run, but you can't hide forever.
All right, what does Prodigy say in the lyrics, right? There's a war going on outside. Right? There's a war going on. Like, don't sleep, man. Like Jeezy said, right? It's Vietnam. Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning. The door's being opened. Vietnam right there. There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. You can run, but you can't hide forever. Right? So, and the next line is, from these streets that we done took, right? So it's like, there's a war going on outside. no man is safe from. You can run, but you can't hide forever, right? There is a threat to me and my team from you and your team, right? And there's a war because of that. And unfortunately, while people are going to the grocery store, and while people are walking to and from school, and while people are at the basketball court shooting hoops, and while people are out double dutching, they're doing all of this in the middle of a battlefield. But there's a war going on outside, and nobody's safe. Not just the soldiers. The bystanders are all at risk, right? No man is safe. You can run. Go where you want, but we coming for you, right? There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from, you can run, but you can't hide forever. Eventually, you're going to have to surface. You can't stay submerged your whole life. You can't stay under the water your whole life. You can't stay pent up in your apartment your whole life. You got to go to the liquor store sometime. You know, you got to make a run for some blunts sometime. And when you make that trip, I'm going to have my shooters ready for you. You know what I'm saying? When you get out on the block, I'm going to have my killers ready for you. Right? So that's really what's going on. And the point is, you got to be careful when you're in the hood that you don't make offenses. You can't be a punk. You can't be soft, because then you'll just get taken advantage of. But if you feel like you disrespected somebody unknowingly, you need to be like, man, I feel like I disrespected this cat, man. My bad, dog. Hey, I didn't mean that. You know what I'm saying? It was my bad. Here's what happened. They ain't going to think you soft. What that's going to buy you is, that's going to give you a pass. Like, my bad, man. I ain't know I wasn't supposed to say blah, blah, blah. I didn't know that was your girl. I didn't know that was your homeboy. I didn't mean to do that. My bad. My bad will keep you alive. It ain't going to make you soft, right? My bad. It'll keep you alive. It'll also show respect, right? And that's what it's about, right? It's primarily, a lot of the killings are involved, and the reason why it's a war zone is because you're competing against with me eating by selling dope. Right, so we both can't sell dope on the same block because you're taking away from my ability to eat, as I said before. So that's a guaranteed way to start battle. The next thing is by disrespecting another cat or a cat set. That's a way to start battle. Now, if you're not selling dope, and if you feel like you disrespected a cat and you're like, man, my bad, I ain't know, you basically bought your way out the ghetto. It's that simple. If you're selling dope, you in battle, and no matter how much you try to get away from that, somebody will still try and get you, because you will have always taken away from someone's profit. So having never sold dope, I don't have a problem. I've never been a threat to nobody in the hood because I'm not looking to take their money. And any conflicts that I might have had with dudes in the hood, it was always squashed because, it was a mutual respect. Hey, dog, I didn't know it was da-da-da. They'll come to me, hey, dog, I didn't know it was what up, da-da-da-da. It's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? But, like, you're going to floss and go out there and just, I'm going to step on everybody's toes because I'm the new kid on the block and I'm tough and I'm better than everybody else. Yeah, you might be tough, but you don't know how deep somebody else is rolling. And you got to be thinking about this and so many other things. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as Eric B. and Rakim says, all I'm trying to do is to make it back home to my family. That's all I'm trying to do. Every single day of my life in the ghetto, I just want to make it back home. I ain't about all that other stuff. Now, if you are about all that other stuff, if you trapping and you serving, well, you really got to be extra on your game. You definitely can't be caught slipping because people going to know that you're serving. People are going to know that you're selling dope. And insofar as you're selling dope, you're competing against them making money. And if you're competing against us making money, that's your head, right? I mean, everybody in the hood knows this. This is like, everybody knows this in the hood. Nothing I'm saying is new, right? They all know this. I think, for dudes that have been in the ghetto, who are either still in the ghetto, or who have left it and survived the ghetto, I think they would look at this. I know they would look at what I'm doing now, and I get stripes for this, right? This is the act of earning stripes right now, because it's like, yo, Dr. Campbell's representing, man. Dr. Campbell's representing. We ain't all just savages and idiots, right? He's letting the rest of the world know that we out here doing this because this is what we need to do to survive, right? It's not that we out here loving to sell drugs and we out here because we love to kill people. We need to do this in order to survive the ghetto. So, shout out to Dr. Campbell. If I get that, that's all I need in life. I don't need all that extra. Just give me a shout out and I'll be straight. Yeah, Mobb Deep, there's a war going on outside and nobody's safe at all. And we gonna come for you actively. Because if you sleep and you think your boy is slipping, I'm gonna send my shooters and they gonna show you I ain't slipping, right? That's the idea. That's the idea behind it. Okay, Nas, the track name is Rule, And here's the audio from Nas's rule.
I come from the housing, tenement buildings, unlimited killings, menaces marked for death. Better known as the projects where junkies and rockheads dwell. Though I owe to it my success, the survival of the fittest every day is a challenge. I come from the housing, tenement buildings, unlimited killings, menaces marked for death. Better known as the projects where junkies and rockheads dwell. Though I owe to it my success, the survival of the fittest every day is a challenge.
All right, what did Nas say in the track? Right, Nas says, I come from the housing, tenement buildings, from the projects, from the hood. Unlimited killings, everybody's dying. Menace marked for death, better known as the projects where junkies and rockheads dwell, obviously. Though I owe to it my success, I would say, Nas, I feel your pain, dog. Same thing. I come from the same place, in North and South, and I owe my success to that, right? The reason why I was able to survive is because that environment made me tough. It made me strong. So that when I go to a meeting in the university and people got problems with me in the meeting because, you know, I got on a polo with my sleeves rolled up and you can see tattoos, that's your problem. That's not my problem. That's not my problem. You know, where somebody else might be faded by it and be like, oh my goodness, oh, his tattoos. Don't you think that's not appropriate wear? Don't even come to me with that, right? I survived the streets. No, don't talk to me about that foolishness, right? When people say, well, I don't think it's right that you're giving videos away for free because, it's undermining the ability to generate revenue and budget. And I say, well, you need to talk to somebody else, right? Why? That don't faze me. Because I'm from the streets, I've lived a lot harder life than having to worry about some bureaucrats in suits trying to dictate how you live your life, right? So for people who make it out, for Jay-Z and Nas and Big and these cats who make it out, I can imagine these dudes are in board meetings and they're trying to flex their board meeting muscles. And this is before Jay-Z had money, right? Obviously now he calls the shots, but I would imagine that young Jay was probably like, are you serious? Nah, I'm not gonna bow. I'm not gonna cower. I'm not afraid. Nah, it's pen and paper when it boils down to it, right? And really I've proven myself already, so there's nothing to prove. Do it my way or we going somewhere else. There's no negotiation here, right? It's we know what we want and we gonna get it. And then, he started Rockefeller Records. That's exactly what he did. Him and Dame Dash, right? It's like, yo, we trying to eat, we want a deal. Oh, you don't want to give us a deal? No problem, I'll do this by myself, right? So the whole point is, it's the same mentality. It's like, okay, I want a job. I got a job in university. After I graduated, am I going to sit back and just be like, fat cat, yeah, I got my university money and I got this job and I got this. No, I got to work. And I'm still working. As I said, this YouTube channel is something that I do for a hobby. I don't get paid off of any of this, right? I'm doing this for the people, but it's a demonstration, right? Every video that goes up, every lecture that I give, every person's life that I help change, it's another stripe that I get, right? So I've taken that mentality from the ghetto to corporate, right? I'm still earning stripes. I'm going to be earning stripes till the day that I die. But you only ever earn stripes for what you've done or what you've survived. You don't earn, no, but you're not going to get a stripe just because. You're not getting a pass, man. You're not getting stripes just because. You got to work for that. So it's like if someone says to me, oh, I learned Nietzsche and I understand Nietzsche better than I've ever understood it before because of the lecture series that Dr. Campbell put up. I don't look at it as, oh, I'm a better instructor than some other professor. Not at all. What I look at it as is the individual recognizes something in me and there's been a connection made, right? And they've given, that shout out is a stripe. You get a shout out, that's huge. I mean, that's a huge thing. You don't just give shout outs to anybody, man. So somebody give me a shout out, I'm okay, I take that, thank you. That'll make me work harder for the next shout out, right? So that's how it goes, right? So what Nas is saying, last line, though I owe it to it my success, the survival of the fittest, every day is a challenge. Every day is a challenge, right? And you guys can look up these lyrics on your own, the full versions, and obviously you've heard the audio clips, right? All right, so the very last thing then is reference, and I saved it for last because I think it's the most tragic. I think it's the most important aspect of the five different elements to understanding the ghetto in terms of a philosophy, right? A philosophy of hip hop. I think of all five, right? Whether you're talking about, and I'll go back to the beginning. Whether you're talking about the concept of earning stripes, direct reference to military, direct reference to being a soldier, having survived. I think the most brutal account is when the artist, the lyricist, explicitly says that my block is like Iraq. Because then it's no denial. Then no matter who the person is that you're trying to engage in a discussion with, obviously someone from sort of middle America that you're engaging in a discussion with, it's undeniable. You cannot deny the fact that it is a war zone because they are telling you directly that where I live is like this active war zone. So let's look at this. This is the last page. Number 5, the ghetto as an active war zone. The levels of inhumanity, brutality, and violence are so high, right? Those levels of violence and brutality, inhumanity are so high that lyricists often describe their environments in terms of known war zones, emphatically stating that living in the ghetto is similar to living in an active war zone. And I've given 6 examples of this. The first of which I've already given, which is Young Jeezy featuring T.I. I Got Money. Again, for the second time, here's the audio track.
Good morning, Vietnam. Yeah, we trying to earn stripes. Get jammed up with one, it can cost you your whole life. Good morning, Vietnam. Yeah, we trying to earn stripes. Get jammed up with one, it can cost you your whole life.
As we saw in the audio, Jeezy says, "Good morning, Vietnam." Right? Good morning, Vietnam. My block, my ghetto, my hood is like Vietnam. Right? And Jeezy said it himself. Next one. Another reference to Vietnam. This comes from Mobb Deep's Survival of the Fittest. So here's the audio from Mobb Deep's Survival of the Fittest.
My part of town is similar to Vietnam. My part of town is similar to Vietnam.
Again, Mobb Deep says, my part of town is similar to Vietnam, right? My part of town is similar to Vietnam. My part of town is a place where people get killed. My part of town is flooded with soldiers. My part of town is filled with active combat. My part of town is a place where you know you're a soldier. You know you're a soldier. And as a soldier doesn't go to battle and not have a gun. So when I leave my house, I'm strapped, right? When I leave my house, you know I'm toting. When I leave my house, I'm expecting somebody to try to kill me. When I leave my house, they're expecting me to try to kill them. That's what's going on because there's a war going on outside, right? So my part of town is similar to Vietnam. Next one, Southern rapper, OJ the Juice Man. Most people don't know about OJ the Juice Man, right? But Southern rapper, I think he's with Swicy. I'm not positive, but this track is called Batman, and here's a track from OJ the Juice Man.
Still in the trap, so my plug Afghanistan. Still in the trap, so my plug Afghanistan.
What does he say? Still in the trap, right? Still in the trap, so I plug Afghanistan, right? To plug something is to give a shout out or to give a reference to. Still in the trap. He's still in the trap serving. Obviously, the trap is where you go to sell drugs. So I plug Afghanistan. Right? I'm still in the trap, so I'm giving a shout out to Afghanistan, right? I'm still in the trap. Shout out to Afghanistan because the trap is life. The trap, selling drugs on the block is like being in Afghanistan, right? You don't know who's gonna. It's called rolling up, right? You don't know who's gonna roll up on you. You know, you see a car come out, you selling drugs in the trap, and a window goes down. 9 out of 10 times, it's gonna be somebody who's looking for narcotics purchase. Hey, give me this, give me that. You give them that, right? It could be the police. Right, but if you really slip it could be the enemy, and the enemy rolls up, window goes down, you don't know who it is, and you get killed, right? Window goes down, and that's that, right? So the hood is like Afghanistan, right? It's the same amount of caution that you gotta take. You know, if there's a barricade that the army sets up and a car's approaching, you would imagine that the soldier would put his hand up and be like, hey, slow down, stop, wave, stop. Then people will get their guns out. Stop. If the car keeps on approaching, they're going to light that car up. Similarly, it's like you come up into the trap, there's a certain etiquette that you have to follow. You don't just drive up to a place where you think a guy's serving drugs and be like, hey, Bob, let me get a dime bag of cocaine. You're going to get lit up. You don't do that, right? So it's like, you gotta wait for them to recognize that you're interested in buying narcotics, and they'll give you a signal to come and get some narcotics. You don't just roll up. Why? Because it's like Afghanistan. You know, you roll your window down, it's tinted. I don't know what you're gonna do. You could be harming me, so I need to survive in these streets, so that becomes a problem. Fortunately, you know, it's very rare that you have someone who goes into the ghetto for narcotics purchase getting killed, right? They don't want to kill their customers, obviously, right? It's bad for business. It's really bad for business. All right, next, number 4. This is Rick Ross featuring Meek Mill. I absolutely love this song. Tupac Back, and here's the audio from Tupac Back.
Tupac back, I'm 2 Glock strapped, rolling down in Philly, this the new Iraq. Tupac back, I'm 2 Glock strapped, rolling down in Philly, this the new Iraq.
All right, what does Meek Millie say, right? He says, just survival kid, no, sorry. Meek Millie says, Tupac back, I'm 2 Glock strapped, rolling down in Philly, this the new Iraq. Philly is the new Iraq. Even more explicit, right? Old Iraq was the Iraq War. There's a new Iraq, right? Since we stopped talking about the Iraqi War, right? Since Desert Storm is over and Iraqi freedom is over and all of those wars are over, we got a new Iraq War, right? And the Iraq War is in Philly. And what he says, Philadelphia, rolling down in Philly, this the new Iraq. So the idea is where I live is the new Iraq. Where I live is the new place where cats are being brutalized, where you got to be savages. And Boosie, Lil Boosie, I don't think I incorporated Boosie in any and I looked for a while and I missed, and I know Boosie because I listen to a lot of Boosie, but I just couldn't find references that Boosie had that fit in these categories because of the time constraint. And there's probably infinitely many more rappers that I could have incorporated into context, but Boosie has the ideas. He sort of talked about savages, right? Him and Webby talk a lot about being savages. You got to be, in a sense, a savage to survive, right? And I'm rolling down in Philly. This is new Iraq. The reason why I'm able to survive in Iraq in a battle zone is because I'm a savage. I can't. You know, if the enemy is a 12-year-old kid, and a 12-year-old kid, I'm a 35-year-old man, and a 12-year-old kid, and I'm in the hood, and I'm in the ghetto, and there's no way out for me, and I know that there's no way out for me. And we heard that Master P says that I'm ready to die. And we heard what Jim Jones said, that I've been trained in killing. And the 12-year-old kid rolls up on me from another set, and I know he means to do me harm. You think I'm going to think for 3 seconds whether or not I'm going to kill that 12-year-old kid? I'm going to kill that 12-year-old kid. I'm going to light him up. Because like Eric B. and Rakim says, I want to be able to make it home at night. So the fact that you 12-year-old is not giving you a pass. If you coming up to kill me and you 12 years old, believe I'm going to shoot you up. It's that brutal, right? That's what I'm trying to convey here, right? What I am trying to convey, a sense of the brutality. This is not like your friendly, warm, and fuzzy lecture. I am giving a pretty deep, an extremely deep lecture. And I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. This is who I am, right? But I want you to recognize, and not people from the ghetto. Everybody in the ghetto, this is probably boring. They probably stopped watching the video already because they already know all this. For people in middle America and overseas who don't have an understanding of sort of street life, of ghetto life, this is how serious it is. This is really how serious it is. So I mean, the new Iraq being a new war zone, it's just being a new war zone. It's like any war zone. You think I'm going to think, if I'm in the real Iraq fighting a battle, 12-year-old kid strapped with an AK-47 coming to do me harm, that I'm going to stop for a second and consider that it's a 12-year-old kid that's trying to take my life? I don't know what the rules of engagement are, but, well, actually, I do know what the rules of engagement are. But, I mean, if I'm being directly threatened, my life is being directly threatened, I got to do what I need to do. Same thing in the hood. Cat runs up on me. He's got a Glock out. He's brandishing iron. He's ready to take my life. He's 12 years old. He's getting killed. That's how it goes. Next is The Roots, right? And the track is called Long Time, and here's the lyrics from Roots' Long Time.
Just survival, kid, and this is struggle worldwide, I'm positive. Shit, the ghetto minds worry, the gods are stripped. Just survival, kid, and this is struggle worldwide, I'm positive. Shit, the ghetto minds worry, the gods are stripped.
Alright, what we saw in the track from The Roots, the Roots say, it's just survival, kid, and it's a struggle worldwide, I'm positive. It's not just the U.S. that happens. There's ghettos and hoods in England. They got some hard hitters in England. They got some hard hitters all over the place. They got hard hitters in Jamaica, believe it. I think Jamaica now, unfortunately, is a murder capital of the world, right? And as a matter of fact, with respect to Jamaica, I never put it in here. Vybz Kartel's clique is called Gaza, right? Which is another example of a war zone. I didn't put, and you know what, I probably should put that in here. Vybz Kartel, who's a Jamaican dancehall lyricist, love his stuff. Vybz Kartel classifies his clique as Gaza, and Gaza is an active war zone, right? So that's another reference, right? So the roots say, struggle worldwide and positive. Shit, the ghetto might as well be the Gaza Strip, right? The ghetto might as well be the Gaza Strip. Another irrefutable direct reference, and I am going to put Vybz in here. I need to put that down. Vybz Kartel. It's not hip hop, but I'm going to put them anyway.
We no frightened so easy. All when you're rolling with the army that no scare we. Me represent the Gaza. We no frightened so easy. All when you're rolling with the army that no scare we. Me represent the Gaza.
So I'm going to incorporate Vybz Kartel's lyrics as well. Hopefully I don't forget that. But the roots, you know, the roots are saying that, shit, the ghetto might as well be the Gaza Strip, right? It might as well be the case that we're living in Gaza because we fight like we're living in Gaza. We live this savage life, right? It's savage life all day. And part of savage life is the savagery, right? The fact that, you know, it's kill or be killed. You ain't messing with me, I ain't messing with you. You trying to hurt me or mine, I'm going to try and hurt you and yours. And that's it, right? So what the roots are saying is it might as well be the Gaza Strip. And then lastly, Tupac featuring the Outlaws, and I will put another link to Vybz Kartel. Obviously, I don't know which one I'm going to use now because I have to do a last bit of research before I upload the video and the notes. But so the last one, number 6, Tupac featuring the Outlaws. It's called Homeboys, and here's the audio from Tupac's Homeboys.
Machiavelli the dawn, get a call, y'all. Turning these streets into Vietnam. Machiavelli the dawn, get a call, y'all. Turning these streets into Vietnam.
All right, what do they say in the lyrics? Machiavelli the Don, Pac is the Don. People might not recognize this, but Don, calling him the Don means that he's earned stripes. It's a rank. It's a reference to rank. So to be technical, you might not see this in the music. You wouldn't understand this unless you really both knew hip-hop and street life. Being a Don, Tupac, having another, because Tupac doesn't say this verse. I remember the Outlaw says this verse. So calling someone else a Don means that you are a subordinate, and you know you're a subordinate to this Don. So if the capo, if the Don, if the boss gives an order, you got to follow out that order to the death, to the death. If the boss, if the Don, you know, you make it to a level of being a Don, being a boss, being a capo, earning enough stripes to get the respects from dudes in the hood. Well, if you give an order to somebody in the hood, they got to follow that order out to the death, right? So he's referencing, he says, Machiavelli the Don, get it called, y'all, turning these streets into Vietnam, right? So, you know, the Don gives you a call, and he's like, hey, check it, so-and-so was talking smack, so-and-so pulled iron on my friend, my brother, my cousin, my niece, my nephew, blah, blah, blah. Let's get it done. Great scene for this is Training Day. The scene in Training Day where he gets the phone call, and it's like, yo, they pull the dude into the bathroom, and she's like, yeah, you know, I saw this dude today, and they're about to kill this dude. And she called. She's obviously not a Don. She's not a boss, but she made a phone call. Initially, that would have helped get him killed, but made a call to prevent him from being killed. Similarly, you know, somebody who's risen to a certain level of status in the ghetto earns stripes, and it's not, you don't really go around wearing stripes. They just know your name. They know who you are. Oh yeah, so and so. Yeah, nah, he's from here. Yeah, you know, I know that cat. He helped me here. He got me this. You know, he's earned the stripes, and insofar as you've earned stripes, you got a whole lot of cats that got favors for you, right? And it's just a matter of time before you pick up the phone and call in a favor. I'm like, hey, so and so, remember the time I did such and such for you? Yeah. Hey, I need this taken care of, and it's an understood thing. You need to take care of that, because if you don't, it's a sign of disrespect. Because when you needed help, the person who's earned stripes has been there for you. Now I need help, and you're not gonna be there for me. Well, I'm gonna call in another favor, and you can imagine what's gonna happen, right? You can fill in the blanks for yourself. So, Very, very, very exhausting lecture to give. I didn't think it was going to be as long as it was. You know, it's probably like 90 minutes or so. But I might do more philosophy of hip hop videos, but I got to see the vibe. This one for me was the most powerful by far. I like grinding too. I like all of them actually, but this one is, you know, I wanted to do my music justice. I wanted to do lyricist justice, and the vibe is that I want to end on is that yes, it's hostile, yes, it's violent, yes, it's brutal, yes, it's carnage and savagery, but it's not violent and carnage and savage for being violent and carnage and savage as an end. It's that way because in order to survive the ghetto, you have to adopt that mentality. And insofar as you adopt that mentality, you're either going to be incarcerated, you're going to die, or you're going to be one of the very, 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 very small, minute % of people that actually make it out, such as myself. And insofar as you make it out, you have an obligation to the ghetto. I have an obligation to the ghetto, you know. As they say, you can take the ghetto out of nigga, but you can't take the... You can take a nigga out the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of nigga, as you saw Chopper say in that track, right? You can, you know, I'm not going to refer to myself as a nigga, especially not on international YouTube, but you can take me. I'm definitely hood, I'm definitely ghetto. You can take me out the ghetto, but I still have a piece of that in me to the day that I die. And what I want to do is to tell and to represent that to the rest of the world, to show people that I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that hood. I'm proud of that ghetto. I'm never going to sell out. I'm never going to sell out. Matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to get the sleeve that I said I was going to get, and I'll videotape it and all that. I'm going to get the sleeve, the gears for grinding. I got the idea when I was doing the grinding lecture, and I was like, I'm going to get that. And then I'll finish my sleeves. I'll be totally, fully immersed in the hood. Right? But I'm not dangerous. I'm not somebody you should be scared of. I know dangerous cats. I know I've seen dangerous things, but I'm not a dangerous dude myself. What has happened, if anything, is the ghetto has given me the right to now speak on its behalf, to make the struggle understandable and accessible to an international audience of people, and not just on just lyrics level, but to use the rappers' lyrics themselves to show you just how hard it is to survive. So I'm not glamorizing violence. And they're not, especially in the lyrics that I've selected today, these lyrics that I've selected today, are not glamorizing violence. It's a representation of the struggle of the war that's going on outside. And with that, I want to end. I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video on the philosophy of hip-hop. Have a good day.